Something's not right with Heung-Min Son. 3 years ago, he was lifting the Golden Boot. Today, he's not even guaranteed to start. How do we go from world-class winger to rotation player? In a season where Tottenham finally lifted silverware, Son was on the bench for most of it. No injuries, no major scandal, just silence. And now, fans are asking the one question no one wants to hear. Is this the beginning of the end? This isn't just a dip in form. It's a tactical, physical, and emotional unraveling that nobody's talking about. In this video, we'll break down the hard stats, the silent decline, and the brutal truth about why Son no longer looks like the guy defenders used to fear. If you're ready for the kind of breakdown the mainstream media avoids, tap like, hit subscribe, and let's get into it. If you're Heung-Min Son, you could say the 2024-25 season was your best season since signing for Tottenham, and you wouldn't be wrong, but then again, that statement would be true if you're judging purely by silverware. From a performance point of view, not really. For the first time in 17 long, painful years, Spurs actually lifted a major trophy by defeating Manchester United in the UEFA Europa League final, and while Son's hands were on the trophy as team captain, his boots weren't exactly central to winning it. The South Korean could only manage 23 minutes on the pitch as he came into the game from the bench. And honestly, that pretty much sums up the strange reality of Son's life at Tottenham these days. Remember when he wasn't just part of the team, but the guy? When defenders dreaded seeing his name on the team sheet. We are talking about a 5-year stretch where Son was elite. Not just by Premier League standards, but by European standards. He wasn't just stacking up numbers like a machine, he was also getting recognition home and abroad. There was the Pushkas Award in 2019, his inclusion in the PFA Team of the Year in the 2020-21 season where he formed one of the most electric duos the league had ever seen in years with Harry Kane, and of course, the Premier League Golden Boot in the 2021-22 season, where he scored 21 goals without a single penalty. Son also cracked the Ballon d'Or top 30 in that 5-year period. In 2019 and again in 2022, where he finished 11th, the highest position ever achieved by an Asian player in the award's history. We all witnessed a version of Son that was untouchable. A winger you could set your clock to. Goals, assists, leadership, work rate, he ticked every box. And with each season, he wasn't just maintaining standards, he was raising them. But then came last season. And if we're being honest, the numbers don't lie when talking about his slump. With 11 goals across all competitions last season, Son had his lowest return since his very first season at Spurs back in 2015 and 16. 7 of those goals came in the Premier League, by the way. To paint a picture of how bad it is, that's less than half of what he produced during his Golden Boot winning 2021-22 campaign, when he hit 23 without even taking penalties. It got so bad at some point last season that he was no longer the go-to man for Tottenham. Against Liverpool, Nottingham Forest, and Arsenal, he was substituted when Spurs needed at least 1 goal to get anything out of the game. Against Newcastle United, he was left on the bench from the start. Same as in the Manchester City game, where they secured a 1-0 win at Tottenham Hotspur. And it's even more interesting when you realize all of this was unfolding during the same season Salah was putting up a Ballon d'Or-worthy campaign. Because if we zoom out a bit, it becomes clear that over the past few years, the Premier League has been shaped by 2 wide men who completely redefined what it meant to play out wide, Heung-Min Son and Mohamed Salah. In a league that tends to spotlight central strikers or flashy number 10s, the real chaos has often come from the wings. And between 2017 and 2023, no one caused more consistent problems for defenders than these 2. They weren't just wingers, they were match winners, title chasers, and for long stretches, the heartbeat of their teams. So where did it all go wrong for Son? You could say it was the injuries and you'd be correct, and you could also mention change in tactical adjustments and you're not far from the truth. And that's because Son's decline is a combination of 2 or 3 things. Throughout the 2024-25 season, persistent injuries became a reoccurring problem for the South Korean. Son played only 30 matches for Tottenham, starting 24 of them. He battled hamstring and thigh issues during the autumn, which disrupted his form and momentum. Then by spring, a nagging foot injury began to affect his ability to accelerate. And that's where things got even more complicated. While he could still hit elite top speeds, the frequency of those explosive runs dropped significantly. That mattered more than most people realized. Under Ange Postecoglou's demanding system, Son was expected to sprint, press, and transition constantly. In the 2023-24 season, he averaged 24.5 sprints per game, a sharp increase from the 19 he recorded in earlier campaigns. But as the months wore on and fatigue set in, that number dropped. He couldn't sustain the same high-intensity output, and it began to show in his performances. His threat on the counter faded, and he started playing in a more reserved role, trying to manage his energy rather than explode into space like he used to. On top of the physical challenges, there was a clear tactical disconnect. Postecoglou's system often kept Son wide and isolated, far from the areas where he was most dangerous. Without Kane to combine with and without a central presence to draw defenders away, Son was left with more responsibility to create rather than finish. And that change dulled his impact in front of goal. Instead of making those sharp diagonal runs into the box, he was hugging the touchline, trying to deliver crosses or spark build-up play. It was a complete role reversal from his partnership years with Kane, when he thrived off quick combinations and movement through central channels. Now, he was being asked to do the build-up work himself. And here's the thing. While the numbers might suggest Son was evolving into a more complete attacker, the reality was more complicated. His 11 assist tally might have looked solid on paper, but anyone watching closely could see it wasn't a deliberate reinvention. It was survival. Spurs were short on bodies, short on movement, and short on cutting edge. So Son did what any leader would do. He adapted. But adaptation doesn't always mean improvement. Dropping deeper meant he was often too far from goal to do what he does best, slice through defenses with perfectly timed runs and bury chances in stride. The drop in his off-ball sprints from 11.3 to just 8.67 per 90 wasn't just a stat, it was a signal. A signal that Son, once the chaos agent breaking lines and ghosting past fullbacks, was now becoming the connector. The guy playing the pass instead of making the run. That's noble, sure, but it's also telling, especially in Ange Postecoglou's system, which was supposed to be tailor-made for Son's strengths. Remember the hype? Ange Ball was all about fluid transitions, verticality, and high-intensity pressing, exactly the kind of chaos that should have unleashed Son's explosiveness, but it didn't. Instead, Son found himself pressing less. His final third pressures dropped sharply, from 19.55 to 12.74 per 90. And whether that was due to his age, fatigue from a long international season, or simply a tactical recalibration by the manager, it killed the very edge that once made him terrifying. Son's decline hasn't gone unnoticed by fans, many of whom have been riding with him since day one. And now those same supporters are starting to grapple with a tough reality. With plenty of poor performances last season, you tend to see opinions like these ones on the internet. Son is finished at the elite level, has completely lost his burst and pace, his ball striking's still fantastic, but lack of aerial threat won't have him succeed centrally either. Son defo needs phasing out now. Will always be a threat, but I think we're watching the decline in real time. Understandable, considering how many minutes he's played over the years and his age now. So is Son truly finished as some of these tweets suggest? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear what you think. And if you haven't already, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss anything we've got coming. All done? Great. Let's shift gears a bit and take a different look at the situation. Because maybe, just maybe, it's not all on Son. His dip in form can't be separated from the absolute mess Tottenham found themselves in last season. This wasn't just a rough patch. The club completely fell apart. With 22 losses in the league and a finish just above the drop zone in 17th, the environment around him was chaotic from top to bottom. In that kind of setting, even world-class players struggle to look like themselves. And through it all, Son didn't check out. He didn't disappear. He played through the pain, pushed through injury setbacks, and stayed available when the squad was running on fumes. While others rotated in and out of the lineup, Son stayed in it, not because he was fully fit, but because the team simply needed someone they could rely on. But will new coach Thomas Frank and his team see Son as someone they can genuinely build around going into next season? It's a difficult call. Frank's tactical blueprint puts a premium on direct, goal-hungry wide players. Wingers in his system are expected to attack the box, stretch defenders, and offer constant threat, not just creativity. At Brentford, this approach worked brilliantly, especially with players like Bryan Mbeumo, who scored 20 goals in the 2024-25 campaign. That's the mold Thomas Frank trusts, and it's a mold that Son, in his current form, no longer fits. Over the last 2 seasons, Son has leaned more into playmaking than poaching. His runs are fewer, his touches deeper, and his presence in central areas has declined noticeably. Only 38% of his shots came from the middle third of the box last season, which is a sharp drop compared to his peak years. For a system that thrives on vertical pressure and direct attacking movements, that shift raises red flags. Then there's the club's transfer activity, which paints an even clearer picture. Spurs spent €30 million to bring in 20-year-old Mathys Tel, a player known for his raw pace and willingness to attack defenders. At the same time, the club continues to track other explosive attacking options like Bryan Mbeumo and Eberechi Eze, both younger, more dynamic, and more in tune with the kind of frontline Frank is looking to build. It's a signal of intent, and that intent doesn't seem to include waiting around for veteran players to rediscover form. Financially, the situation adds another layer. Son has just 1 year left on his contract, and he's earning £190,000 a week. If the club chooses to hold on to him, they run the risk of losing him for free in 2026. That's a scenario the current board is eager to avoid, especially after barely escaping relegation. Clubs in Saudi Arabia and Turkey have already expressed interest, with offers exceeding €30 million on the table. That kind of transfer fee could help fund Frank's rebuild and ease the club's wage bill. In fact, Son's salary alone could cover the wages of a rising star like Tel or help subsidize a major move for someone like Eze. It fits perfectly with the board's push for fiscal discipline after a disastrous season. And with Daniel Levy showing no hesitation in sacking Ange Postecoglou despite a Europa League trophy, it's clear that sentiment is no longer part of Tottenham's decision-making. This is now a club operating on logic, not loyalty. And unless Son can align with Thomas Frank's vision quickly, the next chapter in his career might be written somewhere else. So, has Tottenham's legend run his course, or is there still one last elite season left in Son? Drop your take in the comments. I want to hear from real fans. And if you're still hungry for real football talk, tap that like, subscribe, and check out the next breakdown on your screen. I'll catch you there.